Today's guest is Gláucia Esppenchutz. She is a data operations engineer at AiFi Inc. and a committer and release manager of the Apache Wayang incubator project. Glaucia is also the author. She wrote the book, Data Ingestion with Python Cookbook. And I'll include a link in the description for this podcast. And thank you so much for joining me today, Glaucia.
Thank you so much for having me.
So for those who don't know you or have not met you, talk a bit about your background. Where are you from, and what do you do?
Sure. So I am Brazilian. I'm living in Portugal. Besides today, I'm working on the data field or in the technology field. I was not graduated on the technology field like computer science or something like that. I am graduated on the biomedical field.
Oh.
And I shifted my careers when I was finishing my college. Is when I met my husband, and he is a software engineer. And I started to look at what he was doing, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I want to try something like that. Because I was very confused when I joined my college by the age of 16. It was very early, so I was very confused about what I should go. And I was just sure what I wanted by the end when I met my husband. And he said to me, okay, I can teach you some tricks and some stuff on the software engineering side. And that's when I started to learning about Python. He taught me some stuff about Python, and the rest I just Googled on Coursera, Udemy, and other free courses online. But what really put me in my first job and my first opportunity was having the Python community so embracing and so inclusive in bringing so much inclusivity. They could help me to join a small startup by the time. And I joined it as a kind of front end, back end engineer, something like that. I was responsible for making websites using Python and Django, which is a framework for Python for web applications. And then I started there. And after that, I started to go some events about Python and join some initiatives on the Python community. And that's when I started to get more into the data thing per se. So it was when I started to understand what was the data world. So databases, data projects, data engineering, and so on. And I was, okay, I might be liking that. So let's go. And that's when I started to go more in deep about the data world and started to learn more about Pandas, PySpark, which is a framework for Python to process huge volumes of data, and more like that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. What brought you to Portugal from Brazil?
I always wanted to live abroad my country. I always wanted to have the experience of meeting new people, because in Brazil we have a lot of projects that is international projects, but not that much. And I wanted to have more contact with different cultures, different people, different ways of thinking, and that's why I wanted to go outside of my country and start something new. When I applied for a company called Critical Tech Works, which is a company from the BMW Group, and they accepted me and they welcome to Portugal. And so I wanted to join something different. I wanted different kind of projects and different kind of challenges.
That's great. I love that that willingness to try something new to such an extent. So
yeah, for sure.
And then you said you kind of fell into the data. You do in Python. You fell into the data area. How did you grow your knowledge? Was it similar? I mean, I know I'm a software engineer. I know a lot of us learn through Google, the free YouTube, the user communities are amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it the same for the data side? Because I'm not as familiar with the data side.
Yeah, it was the same with the data side. Of course, I joined one bootcamp, which was the biggest point of my career, which was a bootcamp on Brazil called Data Bootcamp. It was amazing for me because they they present the whole thing, like the process of data, like the when you start to ingesting, how you process that, how you handle with data frames, how you handle with real time, how you handle with some small machine learning training projects. So it was very, very interesting and important for my career. But I would say it was about 10% of my journey. When I think about data, there's a lot of things that I explored online by Googling, by seeing videos and contacting people.
Yeah, I would say that's very, very normal for those of us who work in
Yeah.
the tech field. I mean, I went to college, and I would say what I learned in university was only maybe 10% of what I actually did in the job.
Yes,
So
exactly.
yeah, so I mean, while education is helpful, I think there's a lot of learning as you go in all of the technology stuff.
Yes, for sure. I think the same.
So what brought you to write a book?
It was kind of funny. I was expecting to write a book. So a long time ago, I applied to this company called Packet, and I would say I just put me as interested to write a book someday about data engineering, and the topic just died at some point, and nobody contacted me. But after some months, somebody contacted me on LinkedIn and said to me, "Hey, I really like your profile, and we are reconsidering about the book. So, are you open to write a book about data engineering?" I said, "Of course, let's do it." And they wanted something more advanced for data engineering. But what I said to them was, I agree that we should have something more advanced, but I don't see much content about how you start the data engineering field. So
Mm,
what I proposed to them was, okay, so let's start with something very basic, like what is the frameworks that we currently use? What are the tools that we need to use to start a development, local development? And what are the normal process that we have, like the process of getting the raw data, cleaning the data, and then uploading the data? Let's start with the very basics, because this sometimes on online gets confused because we have a lot of different sources. So let's try to put something um, aggregated for the people who want to begin. And they loved the idea. So the whole outline of the book is covered by how you start your process. So the books go first, like how you start the local development on your machine, or if you want to do that in some cloud. We pass through some important frameworks like PySpark and Pandas, and then we go a little bit on the orchestrator side, like with Airflow and monitoring with Grafana and other related tools.
that's amazing. Yeah, and I love that approach, right? Because you're right. There's a lot of things you can search and stumble and find, but there's not a lot of places that compile it all into one place for you. So you have kind of like a start to finish of how to get started in something.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I like that. In fact, I've already purchased the book for my daughter's boyfriend who's in data science.
Oh, thank you.
So
Amazing.
he starts his first job in August. So I thought, here, this would be a very helpful tool.
Oh, amazing. That's lovely. I would love to hear the feedbacks about it.
Yeah. So then, looking back, you look at the things that you've done in your career and the things you've been involved in. What's something that if I came to you and said, Glaucia, you have the magic wand and you can make something better for people coming after you, what's something you would change about, what's happened in our industry or some of the experiences you've had that you would make better for the next people coming through?
I would say in companies, and I will be very open here. I am an autistic person, so I had some difficulties when I was joining some interviews and uh, some internal process of the company. So what I would say is to have more people open-minded about neurodivergencies
Mm,
and to understand more, a little bit more, especially the HR and the interviewers, uh, about how they can make the environment more inclusive for those people. So, for example, giving more time for replying the
mm.
questions, maybe have a silent room where the person can just breathe a little bit and start over, because yes, sometimes all the stimuli are kind of overwhelming. So I would say this part of inclusivity, and of course, I would say about being more um it's not available the word that I want to put here, but also be more inclusive about women in technology, because there's a lot of stigma about women being good engineers, and I see that a lot. I know
Mm.
that it is for people like us is sometimes kind of, oh my God, no, this is so old. No, it's not happening. Yeah, it happens a lot. So I would put more in um I forgot the word, but I would put this more in the place, like, okay, we need to talk a little bit more about that and to try to engage more women to join the tech field.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who goes to a tech conference or big event understands there's still not a lot of inclusivity. There's not
Yeah.
a lot of participation. We need to encourage more. I'm not sure about in Portugal. I know in the United States, we have a lot of really great organizations that are working with younger girls, in like middle school, trying to get them interested in
Mm-hmm.
STEM. That we have like, girls who code. We have tech girls. There's a number of them, and my daughter, who I encouraged to come into tech, has
Amazing.
participated with a lot of those. And so I agree with you completely, though. In my career, it's still not, it's an anomaly to see somebody who's into the serious engineering parts of things. They're maybe tech adjacent, but they're not into the engineering and the real STEM aspects of it, which I think we need to fix.
Yes, yes. And just a fun fact, at the beginning of my career, I also started a small group to encourage women to go to the tech field called Pi Ladies.
Huh?
It's to engage women to go to technology by programming Python. And I started that in Rio de Janeiro, where I live. And because of some job duties, I was not able to attend more to the events of PyLadies, but it was me and another girl called Ananda who created the PyLadies in Rio de Janeiro. And today the project is huge, and there's a lot of women joining the project. The project extended to go to the university, so I'm very proud of starting that. And I'm very proud that the other girls and other women kept the project and make that a huge thing.
That's awesome. But we need more. We need more.
Yes, of course we need more.
That's awesome. So what's coming up for you next? Do you have anything, any projects or activities or speaking engagements coming up here in the near future?
Sure. So, what I want now is to be able to talk a little bit more about inclusivity and diversity. So, today, even though it's not open for anybody, but I also joined in the Apache Software Foundation, the diversity initiative. So, there's a huge project going on about diversity and inclusivity. They want to together with other communities like Sustain OSS, which is a project to sustainability of open source project. I'm building with them a diversity handbook, which is a starting point for other communities, open source communities who want to be more inclusive. So I'm building this handbook with them, and what I want now is to be able to speak more about inclusivity, to speak more about diversity on events. And of course, I'm always open to mentoring other people who wants to join the tech area. So yeah, what I'm looking for now is to bring more this topic of diversity in open source communities.
Wow, that's amazing. And Glaucia, I really appreciate that. I will make sure to send your way any events I know that needs a speaker to talk on those topics so that we can get you involved
Sure,
here even in the United States where I'm at.
sure. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. This has been a great conversation, great opportunity to get to know you, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Sure, thank you so much for the invitation.